Well, I really need to set this down before I start a live stream so that it doesn't seem bumpy. You know what? I'm gonna go into the other room. I'm not gonna be in here. I'm gonna move. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna move into the other room where the lighting is better. Ah, my stuff is everywhere. Gotta move my bag. Hello, everyone. Anko is here. We're going to be talking about some English questions today, but I'm just going to move. I should have done this before I started, but whatever. Whatever I say. Get my coffee. Who's here? Zeneb is here. Hello, Zeneb. For those of you watching this in the reruns, how it works is viewers ask questions about English language learning, American culture, whatever, and I answer them. Pretty simple. So if you're watching this in the reruns and you want to join next time, please do. Every Saturday around hopefully 12:30, but usually later, to be totally honest. But if I say 12:45, then it'll be even later. So I just say 12:30, and then I try to start at 12:30. Doorbell, can you please go away? Cat, can you please move, doorbell? I'm not gonna pet you, doorbell. I'm not gonna pet you. Okay. I think I can turn the light up a little bit, move it forward. Is that all right? There we go. It's a little dark, but hopefully that's okay. I got my coffee, I got my stuff. Got a few people here. So again, how this works, ask questions. If you have questions about your English language learning journey, American culture, specific points about English, maybe grammar, maybe pronunciation, maybe differences between phrases, idioms you've seen, movies you've been watching, whatever it may be, this is the time that you have to ask those questions, and I'm here to answer them. So the better the questions, the more the answers, and hopefully I can organize well enough so that I can get them all answered. We usually get a lot done. Let's see, so who's here? Mihi is here, and oh my goodness, you have a long name. Karthik Devarjan is a very long name. Wow. Okay. I'll write that one down. Any other questions? Any other questions, guys? I'll write them down. Oh, he has asked a question. Mihi Park. Please tell me the pronunciation of advertisement. Good one. Any other questions, guys? I can ask. I want to kind of collect what I would like to do, because what I found is we have a bunch of questions together. I can kind of talk about them one by one and then go through them. But if it's one by one and I'm trying to answer, hello, Engi. Difference between idioms and phrases. Well, that's kind of a tough one, but we can try that. Hey, Judy. Hi, Doran. Good to see you. Good to see you. Pronunciation of the adult. adult. There are actually 2. Okay. All right. So we've got 4 questions here. That's pretty good, I think. So the first question is, what is an indefinite article? So basically, indefinite articles are a and n. A and an. Basically, that's how it's used. Usually it's in front of some sort of noun. They're called indefinite because they're not saying which specific thing it is. So the, the, would be a definite article because it's saying exactly which thing you're talking about. So if I say the house, then the house is that one house that I'm talking about, that one over there. That's the house, right? But if I say a house, then I'm not talking about any specific house, right? And if I'm not talking about any specific house, then it's indefinite. It means not definite. Could be any house. So that's the difference. One house could, I guess, also be kind of an indefinite article if you said one house, but generally we consider a and an as indefinite articles. Hope that makes sense. Is that pretty simple? Does that answer your question? So if I'm having a cup of coffee, you don't really know which one I'm talking about. But if I'm going to talk about it, then I'll say the cup of coffee. Which one? This one. This cup of coffee. This giant Luke Skywalker cup of coffee. I'm using my most ridiculous cup today because I need to wash the dishes. Definitely need to wash the dishes. And it seems like my screen is a little dark. Does it seem dark to you guys? I feel like it could be brighter. Is that... Okay, hold on a second. Oh, that's better. It was just that my... What's going on here? Is my screen dark? Hold on, I might disappear for just a second. I need to check something. Screen color was dark. Okay, I just finished work, or I just finished work, or... Wait a minute, what? He says, which one is correct? I just finished work, or I just finished... I just finished work, or I'm just finished work. Oh, I see. I just finished work is correct. So, okay. If you say I just finished work, I finished something. I did an action. I walked my dog. I bought a candy bar. I made a cup of coffee. You use I or any subject, he, she, they, plus the action. I just finished, okay? It's action. But you would use I'm when you're talking about an adjective. So for example, finished can also be an adjective. I'm finished. It's like saying I'm done. It's like saying I'm ready, right? If you say you're ready, ready is an adjective. So you would use I'm. I'm ready to do that. Then you would use I am. He is. He's ready. She's sleepy. Okay? We are old, whatever it is. That's the difference between it. So you should say, I just finished work. I'm finished with work would be correct. I just finished work, or I'm finished with work, either of those. But if you use I'm, you're talking about an adjective. I'm finished. Okay, the pronunciation of several words here. The first one is advertisement. It's said 2 different ways. Americans usually say advertisement. Advertisement. 4 syllables. Advertisement. Advertisement. Okay? Sometimes you'll hear advertisement. Advertisement. But that's usually the British pronunciation. So Americans don't typically say, you won't usually hear Americans say advertisement. You hear them say advertisement or ad. Advertising would be the general activity that you're taking part in. I work in advertising. And one thing would be an advertisement. An advertisement. Hope that makes sense. Then the other pronunciation, adult, is has actually two pronunciations. It's adult and adult, and people say both. Adult and adult, and people say both. So any American you meet will say advertisement. In America, maybe advertisement. In the UK, but maybe they also say advertisement, I'm not sure. Then when you come to America and you hear people saying ADULT, you hear them either say adult or adult. I usually say adult. That's my typical pronunciation, but let's see what the dictionary says. Go to vocabulary.com, type in the word ADULT, adult. Okay, let's see what it says.
Adult.
Eh?
Adult. Adult.
They don't have both of them. They just have the one I use. Let's see if dictionary.com has both of them. Let's see. ADULT. Here we go.
Adult or adult.
Dictionary.com has both of them.
Adult or adult.
Okay. So there are two. Whenever you need to check pronunciation, of course, you can ask me in once a week. But you can also check on dictionary.com or vocabulary.com. I'm here too, but see your cats. I'm from Brazil. It seems that Americans love cats more than they love dogs. I would not agree with that. I think it's probably 50-50. I mean, most Americans love dogs, for sure. There are dog walkers all over the place. Personally, I am a cat person. That means I really like cats. You would say, I am a dog person. I am a cat person. That doesn't mean you are a cat or you are a dog. But it means that's what you prefer. No, I like dogs too, but I like cats more, and I have two cats. So no, I wouldn't say that that's correct. I think you couldn't say that. Oh, it must be that Americans prefer one or the other. One or the other. What is this? Oh, they have football stickers. One or the other type of animal. I don't think that's right. I'm also from Brazil. I'm from Brazil too. Yeah, those are both correct. You can say I'm also from Brazil. I'm from Brazil too. Both of those are fine. Both of those are fine. Okay, difference between idiom and phrase. So that's an interesting question. A phrase is just a group of words. That's all a phrase is. What is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words together. And usually it has a specific meaning, and usually it's shorter than a sentence. So we might add the word common to it and say a common phrase, and that's something you often hear. Like go crazy, for example. Go crazy. That's a common group of words. An idiom is deeper. An idiom is an expression or a group of words or a phrase that maybe has a meaning other than what it seems like based on the words. So go crazy, that's just a common grouping of two words that you'll often hear. Whereas an expression or an idiom like kick the bucket, that has a history to it. And if you actually look at the words kick the bucket, it doesn't actually mean kick the bucket. That's not what it means. It means something else. It usually has a deeper maybe historical meaning or a meaning that's been around for a long time. So idioms are, I would say, deeper in the culture than phrases. Phrases can be any words together, and idioms are things that everybody knows, and idioms usually have a meaning that is not what the words seem to suggest often. So what does kick the bucket mean? Well, literally, kick the bucket would be to kick a bucket, but that's not the real meaning. When people say kick the bucket, they mean, does anybody know? Kick the bucket means die. Oh, he kicked the bucket. It's a very sort of rude or casual way to say someone died. Yes, Judy is right. So that's an idiom. That's an idiom. And it's tricky, but I think a phrase is a more general thing, whereas an idiom is more specific. The expression break a leg, that is okay to use for a person who actually has broken his or her leg. So that's an idiom too. If you say, I broke my leg, then that wouldn't be the idiom. That's another kind of interesting thing about idioms. Idioms have to be said exactly as they are. So we use the expression break a leg. And what that means is good luck. If you're going to do a presentation and you're nervous and I say, oh, you'll be fine. Break a leg, break a leg, break a leg. It has to be break a leg, not break your leg, not break some legs. It must be break a leg. And it means good luck to you, basically. I hope you do well. And there's a reason why, but we don't need to go into it. But if you change it at all, then it suddenly is not an idiom anymore. Then it suddenly has its own meaning, and it means the words that you're saying. So if you say, I broke my leg, that literally means that my leg is broken. Okay? She broke her leg. Break your leg. Oh, that's not very nice. Right? So, yeah, you have to be careful about idioms. You have to say the idioms exactly as they are. Otherwise, it will change suddenly and become its actual literal meaning. So if you say break your leg, someone might say, well, that's not very nice. Oh, I meant break a leg. Oh, okay, thank you. It's weird, I know. The difference between a proverb and an idiom is that a proverb, oh God, random reviews is here. A proverb is usually full of wisdom. A proverb has some bit of wisdom inside of it. And it includes something that you can maybe learn that you can use to guide yourself in life. That's basically what a proverb means. So there is a small difference. An idiom doesn't have to have wisdom. What is syntax? Is it important in the English language? So syntax is very, very important in the English language, but I think it's probably in every language, I suppose. But in English, we talk about it in terms of writing usually. So your syntax is the variation of your sentences. If every sentence looks the same, you have a long sentence and then another long sentence and then another long sentence and then another long sentence. We would say, well, that's bad syntax. Bad syntax. That means you're using the same kind of sentence every time. You don't have much variation in your sentences, right? So that's not good. That's bad. Bad syntax. Okay? If you use only short sentences, I like football. It is exciting. I like to watch Argentina. They are very good. My favorite player is blah, blah, blah. That's also bad syntax. We're using simple grammar each time. Instead of trying to maybe connect some of those sentences, I would say that probably the best player on the Argentinian team is blah, blah, blah. I really enjoy watching football. So you have then one short sentence and a longer sentence that's connecting several other sentences together, and you want to basically make it interesting. When you're reading, you should be able to read without thinking, oh, Jesus, he's using the same sentences over and over. So when we're in high school and college, we learn about how to use syntax to write well. So if you want to learn about syntax, there's a great book. No, I'm not keeping up with the World Cup right now, unfortunately, Judy. I'm sorry about that. I know everyone else cares about it, but I'm just not interested. I wish I was. I wish I cared, but I don't. I'm not really into sports. If the basketball finals were on, I wouldn't watch those either. I would probably watch, if there were ping pong world championships, I would watch that, I think, because I like ping pong. But that's about it. So there's a great book. I'm going to recommend a book. If you want to learn how to use syntax well, my recommendation would be to buy the book called, it's either called The Elements of Style or just Elements of Style. And it's by E.B. White. and it is awesome. I've probably read it 12 times. It's very short, but it can teach you how to write much better. I really strongly recommend it. Let me make sure if it's The Elements of Style or Elements of Style. Yeah, it's called The Elements of Style. The Elements of Style. And it is awesome. Very short book. If you're going to buy an English book, you want to learn how to be a better writer, there it is. Okay? Highly recommended. Probably like $5. Cheap. My dad bought it for me when I was in 7th grade, and since then I've read it many, many times. My father is a writer, so he does it professionally. You look unhappy today, says Harper. No, it's not that. I think what you're seeing is I really, really, really don't feel very good. I have a terrible headache. My head is like that right now, and it's really quite uncomfortable. So maybe you're just sensing some discomfort, perhaps. Who knows? But I wouldn't want to skip the weekly live class. It's a good distraction. Greetings from Taiwan. Have you ever been to Taiwan? Yes, I absolutely love Taiwan. Wow, yeah, so I used to live in Xiamen, and at one point I had to get a visa or something, and so I flew to Taiwan, and I spent 4 days in Taiwan by myself, and all I did was listen to audiobooks, walk around, and I was just in Taipei, but it's just so nice. It's so comfortable. It's just a very, very nice place. I'd love to live in Taiwan someday. It's an awesome place. The people are very friendly. Everyone was very helpful. It has a very relaxing vibe. It's a bit hot, to be honest, but just very nice. Oh, you have many questions today, Peace. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, so if you're planning a trip and you're wondering where should I go to Taiwan. The interesting thing about Taiwan is, I mean, I lived in China, mainland China, I should say. I have to be careful about this. I lived in mainland China for a long time, and I like it as well. But in Taiwan, you get a feeling about the culture that you don't get in mainland China, because a lot of the culture in mainland China is kind of not lost, but it's not as obvious. Whereas you get a feeling of the old traditional Chinese culture in Taiwan mixed in with Japanese culture, and it's very interesting. It's really a beautiful place. Love it. I actually made a whole video about a trip to Taiwan, but I didn't post it because I realized if I posted it, maybe people would be very angry. It's a very sensitive topic. Taiwan is a sensitive topic, especially in China and Taiwan. Okay. I'm just going to go back and look at the questions that I might have missed. Your comment about spell bee contest. How are these kids are amazing at words? Spelling bee contests. Oh, yeah. So spelling bees, if you don't know what a spelling bee is, you basically have kids competing against each other to spell words. And actually, English spelling is not that easy, right? It's not that simple. Some words are really long, and they definitely are not spelled like they sound. Like, how about the word spaghetti? Well, if you're going to spell the word spaghetti like it sounded, then you would just write S-P-A-G-E-T-I, right? But it's S-P-A-G-H-E-T-T-I for a number of reasons, but mostly because it's an Italian word. And there are lots of words like that. Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, that's because the word knight used to be knicht, and it's an old English word, and the spelling stayed, but the pronunciation changed. So, so it's tough. So you have kids competing with each other, basically, and it's really interesting, and they're really good spellers, and they would completely destroy me. My spelling is actually not particularly amazing. I would say I'm a normal speller. Okay. So Peace has a question. In Egypt, British English is available than American, is more common than American English. So if someone learned British English first, will they face a problem when they come to live in the USA? It's a good question. That is a good question. Hey, is it Idaway, DJ? Is that right? The correct pronunciation, Idaway? Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Just so you know what's going on, let me just quickly explain. Every week we do a Q&A. Every Saturday we do a Q&A where you guys can ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer them about English, about whatever you want to ask about. So Peace's question is about British English. If in Egypt she learns mostly British English, when you come to the US, what happens? Do you struggle? Well, I would say no matter where you go, you're going to come across local language that you didn't hear wherever you were before. So I would say that no, you're not going to struggle because you learn British English. You're going to know the same basic words. You might come across a few things. If you saw the video I posted about Random Reviews is not on the same team as me, by the way, just so you know. Random Reviews is always this close from being blocked. Writing the line. So if you learn British English, you're going to come across a few words like bonnet for the front of a car. Yes, I agree, Harper. Random Reviews is a weird person. Bonnet instead of hood for a car. They use bonnet for the front of a car in the UK. They use hood in America. So you're going to meet some differences in the words that are used. But you should be able to figure those out from the context. In other words, you see, oh, just put it under the bonnet. And you know what that is because of the situation you're in, right? So that shouldn't be too hard. And if you don't know, then you can just say, oh, I'm sorry, what is a hood exactly? Oh, it's the front of the car. So that's pretty easy, right? But then you're going to reach another level where you come across a lot of local idioms or expressions or phrases, especially phrasal verbs, that maybe Americans use that aren't used elsewhere. And you would come across the same thing if you were learning American English and then went to England. So it's sort of like a deeper level. And that would be the harder challenge, and that might be different from city to city. Not only, for example, in all of America, but in New York, in California, there will be different phrases used. So, there are a lot of words that are used in California that the people don't really use in the East Coast in New York, and you would have to get used to that. But, if you're a smart person and you can ask questions, you'll adjust pretty quickly. There are words that people use that I don't fully understand. There are new words that come out that I had to learn as well, and it's not a big deal, honestly. It's not like you're going to walk around every day going, oh, I don't know what's going on, what's happening here, it's so confusing. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be more like, sorry, what was that? You said something is lit? What does lit mean? Oh, okay. Okay, got it. I understand. So it's going to be like that. Once in a while, you might have to ask a question. Just say, excuse me, or hey, what? Or I don't know that word. What does that mean? Just a question. And that might happen, what, once a day, maybe? No big deal. No big deal, I think. You'll be fine. You're a smart person. What is the correct usage in the USA? I was born and raised in London, or I was born and brought up in London. Both. It's exactly the same thing. Born and raised, born and brought up are exactly the same. See, once in a while, Random Reviews will actually have a good question and ask a good question but then say something really weird and almost get blocked, and then ask a good question again. It's like the ultimate in riding the line. Real professional troll. I admire Random Reviews for his or her trolling abilities. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to miss any questions. Did I answer your question, Peace? To make sure I don't miss any questions. I would like to know some words or phrases the teachers usually use in class. Idue asked this question. Yeah, so Idue, the the answer to your question is that I can't answer your question because that's such a big question. What words do teachers use in class? It's sort of like saying, tell me all the kinds of fruit. You know what I mean? It's too big. So if you're going to teach English, you're going to use words based on the situation that you're in, right? You're going to say, for example, if you're talking about, if today's topic is about introducing yourself, then you are going to use words and phrases like, I would say, that's a phrase you can use to talk about characteristics that you have. I would say that I'm a blah, blah, blah kind of person, or maybe, whatever. There will be different words and phrases you'll use for different topics. So if you say, what are the common words that teachers will use in class, it's really tough. It's really tough to say. That question is too big for me to answer, I think. We could say this. If you're in a classroom and you want to get everyone's attention, you might say, okay, everyone. Okay, everyone. What that does is it gets everyone's attention. So the classroom full of students, you walk into the classroom, you say, okay, everyone, let's get started, okay? Or you want people to be quiet, you could say, quiet down, please, quiet down, please. Now we're going to da-da-da and go on to the next thing. So there are some phrases you would use as sort of classroom control words or classroom control phrases that you can use to sort of change things or move to the next topic, or does anyone know the answer to this? Does anyone know? And you raise your hand. This is the kind of question you could ask in a big classroom or an English corner. So if that's what you mean, maybe we can talk about that. That's what I can talk about a little bit. But otherwise, maybe you can make your question a little bit more specific, and then I can hopefully answer it better. I just got this package. This thing I bought. Can anyone guess what? Does anyone like to guess what this is? Yes, move cautiously is correct. It means to move, to edge away is to sort of move backward cautiously. Right, exactly. Can anyone guess what this is? Would anyone like to guess? I just received it today. Are you going to eat Japanese food after this live stream? No, I'm going to eat Korean food after this live stream. Today is Korean Day. It's not a camera bag. It's a good guess, Harper. This is a hard drive that I just received because it's time to start editing my course, and I have already 3 terabytes, and it's not enough. So I bought this 4 terabyte, 4 TB hard drive, and I need to buy another one as well because the video files are so huge. I'm working on a new course of videos. It's going to be really long, but unfortunately that means that each video is, like 5 gigabytes. This is 4 terabytes, and I need to get another one still. So I've got like 10 terabytes of data at my house. It's insane. So yes, today is Korean Day, Harper, to answer your question. Later, when Mushroom gets back, Mushroom is my wife, she's coming back home pretty soon. We're going to Manhattan because she wants to take me to a Korean restaurant that she really likes going to. All of her coworkers, all of her colleagues are Korean. She's Chinese, but all of her colleagues are Korean, so they always take her to get really good Korean food, and they know the good Korean food. So in Manhattan, 32nd Street, if you ever come to New York, 32nd Street is called Korean Street. And the reason it's called Korean Street is because they have lots of different Korean restaurants. Not fake Korean food, but apparently is real Korean food, really good Korean food. And usually the people who are there are often Korean people. You know, it's authentic. Authentic means it's real. So apparently that's what I'm doing later today. Mushroom says it's a surprise. So we'll see what happens. Okay, I want to ask if there's anyone interested in speaking English with me. So that's a good question. If you guys are interested in sharing language and doing stuff like that, there's a really good app called Hello Talk. If you're not already on it, I would recommend you get it. And we should really start a Facebook group. That's what we should do. I'm just worried that if we start a Facebook group, then there will be times when I'm not as available to, you know, pay attention to it as I should be. That's what I'm worried about. So maybe one of you would be willing to help me run the group. Maybe we could talk about that. I think it would be cool if we start a Facebook group where people can share language and give opinions about things, and we can do a daily task and things like that. That would be very cool. But if you aren't on Hello Talk, that's a really good language sharing app. It's called Hello Talk. Very good. It's a partner company of the company that I run called Yoli, which is a Chinese company, and it's really good. Basically, it is a language sharing app. You can find a partner, basically. WhatsApp group would be great. Yeah, maybe. But the thing is, I'm on WeChat pretty much all the time, and so because I'm on that, I don't check WhatsApp as much, and I would probably not be on that. But I always get notifications from Facebook. So maybe I really want to start a Facebook group. My goal is to start a Facebook group so we can have a group where people are sharing things. But you need to think about it seriously. You don't want to do something unless you can really focus on it. Because if you do it and you can't focus on it, then it sucks. Right? Hey, what's the difference between oh my god and oh my gosh? I like to say oh my gosh. Are they the same thing? Yes, they're the same. They're exactly the same. But the difference is, the meaning is the same. The difference is some people don't like to say, oh my God. And the reason is because God is a thing that people believe in, right? So, for example, if you know a Christian person, a person who's a Christian, then anybody here Christian? So if you know a Christian person, they will probably not say, oh my God, because to do that is to use the name of the person that you believe in a negative way, right? If something happens, you say, oh my God, then it's to use it in a way that maybe is slightly negative. And it's sort of like when we're surprised, some people say, Jesus Christ, right? They'll say, Jesus Christ. And people say, oh, that's not good. Well, if you're not a Christian, if you're not religious, then you can do that, right? You can do it if you're a Christian too. Some people do. But for example, my mother, she's a very serious Christian. She would never say, oh my God. She always says, oh my gosh. It's a way to replace God so that it doesn't, for her, in her mind, it's sort of a way to not be offensive or use the Lord's name in vain, is what they say. Yeah, you can ask another question, Peace, of course. And it's the same. It's probably even worse to say Jesus Christ. If you say that in a negative way, many Christian people will be offended by it. If something happens and I'm around my mom and I say, oh, Jesus Christ, like that, my mom will say, oh, don't say that, right? So in her mind, it's kind of a negative word. But again, that's only for people who are seriously Christian. So it's sort of different. It's not a bad word, like fuck is a bad word. That's just a bad word. But it's a bad word for a certain group of people, maybe. And not everybody, right? Not every Christian would follow that rule, but many Christians would. Basically, that's how it works. And so people say, oh my gosh, and oh my goodness, so that they don't need to say God. But the meaning is the same. I hope that's clear. The meaning is exactly the same. If you guys have ideas for the Facebook group, or you have ideas for how we could run it, just get in touch with me on Facebook, the Cloud English Facebook page, and then we can discuss it. That'd be fine. I'm interested in talking with you guys about it. Do you know other languages? Yeah, I can speak some Chinese. My wife is Chinese, so I can speak some Chinese. And my Chinese pronunciation is pretty good. But my Chinese language knowledge is not as deep as I would like it to be. I study pretty much every day, and I speak some Chinese with my wife. She doesn't really teach me so much, but we have conversations when we can. So I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better and better. Chinese is a tough language to learn because of the tones. Mihi, which languages do you know? You know Korean, I guess you know English, Korean, and Japanese. Is that correct? I would say, I'm guessing, English is or Korean is number 1, English is number 2, Japanese number 3. Is that the order? I use the reacting movies technique to learn English. Reacting movies to learn English. I choose a movie and start reacting the part by part every day. Oh, I don't know if reacting would be the best word, but you play the parts in the movie, right? You watch the movie and then you try to do what the characters do. Start by watching the part, then pick up the new words and memorize them. That's cool because then you can get a feeling for not only the words and how they're used, but also the emotions involved, right? And you can try to use your emotions to match the emotions in the movie so that you can feel how the words are used, not only in the meaning, but how they're used in the situation, right? That's cool. That's a good way to learn. Learning from movies is a great way to study English, but you have to do it the right way. If you study movies like this, where you watch a movie and you have the subtitles in your language and you're just watching the subtitles and you say, okay, I'm done. I'm better now. Probably not. That doesn't work for people very well. But if you watch the movie maybe once and then you watch it with only English subtitles instead of your own language, then you force yourself to at least have to listen to what people are saying, and then you can see the words there. Even better is if you can do it without subtitles, and then as maybe Peace does, act out a part, or maybe read out the dialogue from that part and practice it and try to match your sound to try to match your sound to the sound of the actors or actresses in the movie. And then, you can get a feeling for at least the pronunciation. So that's pretty cool. So my question is, what do you think of this method? Shall I continue doing it? Yes, it's a good method. Do it, definitely. Yes, using movies is great, but you have to use movies correctly. Again, you want to try to avoid looking at subtitles in your own language, because when you do that, when you look at the subtitles in your own language, you're sort of turning off the thing that's necessary to pick up new languages. The thing that's necessary to pick up new languages is the struggle to try to understand what's being said. And again, it's okay to have the English subtitles there. Even better if not. If you can do it without, then you're just listening. You're going to be able to, catch the sounds, but that might be too difficult. So use English subtitles, take notes, write things down, and then the acting out method is good. That's cool. You don't have to do that, though. If you're not working on your pronunciation and you just want to learn new phrases and new words, then just take notes as you're watching and use the same movie, watch the same movie several times. Make that movie sort of your Bible. One thing that people do is they will they will sort of make this movie or this episode of this TV show is my Bible of English, right? And I'm gonna master it. And you can use that episode to learn a bunch of words if you're only focused on that one. And then you go on to the next one. And then you go on to the next one. But you study each one carefully. If you just sort of sit there and watch it casually, how much are you really going to pick up? Well, you're going to get maybe some sounds and some words in there. That's fine. But watching very casually is not going to make you better faster. But if you do what Mihi does and you watch Devil Wears Prada 100 times and you know every phrase and how it's used, then you're going to actually benefit from it. You're right, you remember almost all of it. That movie is your Bible of English, right? So do that instead. Do that instead. And then if you want to take it farther, do what Peace does. Act out the parts. It depends on your goal, right? So for Peace, maybe that method is good for the pronunciation part. Because if you can hear your sound and their sound, you can then compare the two and say, okay, I'm close to this, but this is not quite right, and you can fix your pronunciation that way. So that's very good. It's a good way to improve your awareness, especially if you record yourself and listen to it again. Recording is a really powerful way to improve your pronunciation because you have to force yourself to listen to what you said. But again, learning words and phrases, just write, take notes, and watch it many times until you feel you've mastered it. 100 times, though, is a lot, Mihi. Goodness gracious, you must really like that movie. Holy cow. I've seen it once. I've seen Devil Wears Prada one time exactly. It was a good movie, actually. But I don't know if I could see it 100 times. That's a lot. Random Reviews says, Howlin Hung, you really suck at English. Random Reviews, if you say something like that again, I will block you. Seriously. Honestly. I don't want to have a negative space here where we're mocking people or making fun of people for specific English, what they said. So don't do that again, or I will block you permanently. Hi, Teacher Luke. This is your fans, which learning English. What's your opinion on rallies happening across the U.S. to protest Trump's zero-tolerance immigration policy? What's the question from Howlin? I'm going to read that one. I have some questions in the process of learning English, and then I personally letter to you, but do not reply on WeChat. I didn't reply on WeChat? Oh, yeah, I have like 15 people I haven't added yet on WeChat. If you have added me, then I will. Don't worry. I will, Howlin. But today I will. I'm a bit behind on my stuff today, so I have a lot of things I need to finish. I will add you. Don't worry. But is there a question you want to ask, Howlin? Is there a question you want to ask today that you can ask that everyone can benefit from? Yeah. Seriously, that's really negative. Actually, I don't like that at all. Let's not criticize people for what they say and how they say it. I mean, we can correct. Making corrections is good, but let's not be critical of people. All right. How can you organize thoughts when speaking, and what TV show would you recommend to learn phrases? Good questions. I'm going to try this timeout thing. Put user in timeout. Let's see what happens. Timeout, it means maybe they can't talk for a while. Oh, let's see. Random reviews was timed out by Cloud English for 300 seconds. That's interesting. I can time people out. That means if I click on the name, it makes them not be able to say something for 300 seconds. That's funny. Listen, I don't like making fun of people. I don't like if someone says your English is bad, your what you said is stupid. It sucks. I want to have a positive atmosphere here, right? So the timeout is because of that. And the reason I don't answer all of Random Reviews questions is because I don't want to. What TV show would you recommend, and organizing thoughts? Okay, so let me answer those two first. The TV show one for learning words and phrases, I've said this before, but the classic show is Friends. A lot of people use Friends to learn English. I know it's an old show, but a lot of people use it, and apparently it's good. Friends is a good show to watch because you're getting natural English. The writing is, what people actually say. It's pretty common stuff, and it's an interesting show. It's funny, so you can get a feeling for the humor. It's comfortable when you watch it, right? It's 15 years old, but it's still, most of the language is still pretty relevant, and it's a good way to learn phrases, I would say. If you don't like that kind of show, then maybe you don't like comedies, maybe you like more serious shows, then I guess you could watch a more serious show. Well, don't watch a show like House, because that has so many medical words in it. Then that would probably not be that useful to you. Wow, my God, Mihi, that is a lot of times. You are serious. I'm telling you, you're a serious learner. Good, good for you. Trying to think of a more serious show if you're not into comedies. So I like documentaries. Documentaries are good if you're interested in nature, science, stuff like that. But if you're not interested in that, then maybe go with You know what? Stranger Things is a good show. Stranger Things is funny. It's dramatic. It's newer, but that has a lot of good English in it as well. So if you like something that's a bit more dramatic, maybe a little bit scarier, Stranger Things is pretty cool. So Friends, Stranger Things. Generally speaking, I recommend Friends to people just because I know a lot of learners who use it to learn, and people like it. Bates Motel, I would imagine, is a little scary. Stranger Things is a little scary too, but that's a different tone, so it depends on what you like. But I like Friends. If you don't want to watch Friends and you want to try something that's like Friends, but maybe the humor, the style of jokes is a little darker, but it was on at the same time, then Seinfeld, Seinfeld. It was a TV show on at the same time as Friends, and they would usually do Seinfeld Friends on Thursday night during the 1990s. Seinfeld Friends, like that. And it's a very funny show. I think Seinfeld is funnier than Friends, personally, but they're both good. And both of them have natural English. They're a similar type of show, but Seinfeld doesn't have much emotion. You said you are 52. Really? No, I'm not 52. Sorry. Sometimes I say things just for no reason. I'm 29, actually. Halin, thank you. Thank you for, you can, check out my videos. I have a lot of videos. I'm posting one later today. Hopefully it will be useful. I went out into Times Square to talk to some native English speakers to see how much English they know. It's quite funny. You'll see. You'll see. What does it mean if you call your friend my best troll? So a troll is someone who, you wouldn't call your friend my best troll probably, but a troll is someone who wants to say things online that upset other people or make other people want to react. And a troll is someone who might make a comment under a YouTube video just to get other people angry, to try to respond to them. And they really do it just for fun because they don't have anything else to do maybe. They're not too busy in their lives, so they like to get other people excited and sometimes a little upset and start arguments online. That's what a troll is. An internet troll, we say. And if someone is doing that to you, you can say, "Stop trolling me. Stop trolling me. Don't troll my videos." Okay, what was the other question? How do you organize thoughts when speaking? Says Chen Yu asked this question. So organizing thoughts when speaking is definitely a big challenge for a lot of people. So the first thing you can do is just slow down. When you're speaking, go slowly. Don't feel like you need to rush or speak quickly. Native English doesn't have to be fast. Natural English doesn't have to be fast. You can speak very slowly. So that's the first thing. If you're speaking too fast, it will be hard to think. And if you are speaking too fast, you'll probably make more mistakes. So one, slow down. Don't be afraid to stop and think about what you want to say as you're speaking. So pause and then say the next thing. If you want to do some exercises for organizing your thoughts, you can try this little thing. So you have a topic, okay? Let's say your topic is wildlife. Okay, I've just picked that out of nowhere. Okay, now you make several points for what you want to say related to that topic, and you can write them down as a way to exercise or practice this. So what do I want to say? The topic of wildlife. Number one, I want to talk about local wildlife in New York City. Number two, I want to talk about endangered species. Number three, then I'll talk about animal conservation. So I have my little outline in my mind, okay? Then all I do is when I'm speaking, I follow my outline and try to connect everything together. And maybe I'll talk about each thing for 10 to 20 seconds. And that's how I've organized my thoughts. Now, after you do it many times, then you can get used to doing that in your head. But if you have your sort of topics or outline created, then it's a lot easier to speak because you're not trying to think, what should I say? What should I say? You have your thoughts already there. I'm going to talk about local wildlife in New York City, then endangered species, then animal conservation. Okay? So here we go. Wildlife in New York is actually more diverse than people think. So when you walk around on the street, you usually see squirrels, but also if you go around at night, you'll see raccoons, and even sometimes you'll see coyotes. Coyote is like a type of little wolf that you might come across. Most people don't know that, but in fact they're there. Also, of course, you'll see pigeons, but pigeons almost could not be said or referred to as wildlife because they're pretty much associated with cities, and they're not really associated with the wilderness like a raccoon might be. Okay, there are a couple of rare species that you'll find in New York, like squirrels, which are maybe black or red. It's pretty rare to see a black or red squirrel because the gray squirrels have pushed them out. And in some areas, red squirrels and black squirrels have become endangered. That means you can't really find them, and they're at risk of going extinct in some areas. If you can say that an area can go extinct, a species in an area can go extinct. And that's because the gray squirrels are more aggressive. But of course, the major problem is other species going extinct completely. Endangered species in America would be, for example, I think buffalo are extinct, are endangered now. Buffalo are a big type of cow, and also a certain type of mountain lion, I believe, are endangered in America. And the reason that they're endangered is because people hunt them. Just like in Africa, people hunt rhinos for their horns. So what can people do to prevent certain species from going extinct? Well, they can volunteer to maybe work at centers where they protect those animals, or they can fight against the things that cause people to hunt those animals. So, for example, rhino horns. People buy that because they think it's useful in medicine. Well, if you convince people that it's not, then maybe people will buy it less, and then people won't hunt those animals. So I'm just speaking out of basically nothing, but I have a little outline that I can follow, and that makes it a little easier, right? That makes it a little easier to go along without having to work too hard to think about what I want to say, because I have my basic structure. Anyway, you can try that as an exercise that I just did just now. I missed some questions. Helen, I can understand about 60% now and improve. Good. I'm glad you can understand 60%. If you can understand 60%, that's good. If you can understand 100%, maybe I'm speaking too slowly. That would not be so good. Helen says, I've been learning English for more than 10 years. However, in China, English is only for exams. I have good writing skills. I can read and understand. I'm very bad at listening and speaking. Yeah, that's pretty common. If you think about it, when you're in school, you're just getting information through your eyes, right? And you're just putting down information with your hand. So you get used to that, right? When you get used to that, then you're not working on the other senses. It would seem like when you're learning a language, if I can read it, I can definitely hear it. But that's not true. That's not true. You can learn something one way, but then you don't recognize the sound of that thing. For example, the word, I don't know, the word hoove, right, or behoove. You might see that word and say, oh, I know that word, but then when you hear it, you're not familiar with that sound. So it's another thing to practice, to listen a lot, like Mihi does when she's watching TV shows. Her ears are probably very well practiced, and she probably can understand a lot of what I say because she's watched Devil Wears Prada so many times, and because she's seen season 5 and season 6 of Friends so many times. It's probably very easy for her to understand spoken English. But if you only have experienced written English in school, you can't expect yourself to be able to hear English very often. And there are a lot of English sounds that sound like other sounds. For example, if I say aisle, well, aisle could be I''LL, could be also AISLE, like a supermarket, and it could be also ISLE, right? So you have to be able to hear not only the sound, but also the sound in the right context, in the right situation, and also you have to be able to distinguish maybe sounds that are very similar. So, I mean, for example, BOW can be pronounced bow or bow, depending on the situation, and you need to be able to hear the difference between bow and bow, right? The difference between think and sink. They sound very similar, but if you can hear the difference between them, then you know what is being said. If you can't hear the difference, then you don't, and it really just takes practice. So Howlin, if you do what some of the other people here do and watch regularly, but try not to use Chinese subtitles too much and instead use just English subtitles, you're going to work on your ear. There's one exercise you can do to improve your listening, which is very boring. You can basically listen to a short MP3. MP3, you can listen to a very short one, maybe 1 or 2 minutes only, and repeat it again and again. And just listen to it for 20 minutes and try to write down every single word. It might take you 2 weeks to do it. You listen to it 200 times and you try to, over time, write down every word. By doing that, you're forcing yourself to catch individual words in whole sentences. And if it's very fast, right? If the speaking is very fast, you're going to become sharper. Your English is going to become sharper. Your listening, English listening, is going to become sharper over time. So that's a way to improve your listening faster. Find an audio clip, Listen to it many times with headphones. Write down the whole thing. Take 2 weeks if you need to. I'll give you a quick example. I think I have an example here. Here we go. Here's one.
Pakistan says it has captured a key al-Qaeda member wanted in the 1998 bombings of the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. The Islamabad Interior Ministry identifies the man as Ahmed Khalfan Gailini, a Tanzanian national. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation put him on its list of most wanted terrorists and offer a reward of up to $25 million for information leading to his conviction.
Okay, so you listen to that many times until you can write down every word. It's very short. That was about 40 seconds long. Okay, I can understand every single word very easily. That's because English is my first language. If you can't, then you have some work to do. All right, Helen. Good night. Sleep well. 晚安. Okay, I missed a bunch of questions. At the time of talking, do you follow the format intro, body, conclusion? For the exercise I was doing, no, not really. You can if you're doing a presentation, but that wasn't a presentation. I was just trying to speak about something as an exercise when I was doing that. So I was just going 1, 2, 3. I wasn't worried about an intro. I wasn't worried about a body. The intro, body, conclusion would be for an essay or a presentation, probably a formal presentation. That's fine. Yeah, I understand. It's very fast. That guy's using a lot of technical words very fast, for sure. Missed a bunch of questions. I found 2 or 3 Cloud English on Facebook. Really? Should be the one that's a picture of me. Luke, I'm never sure how to speak about college. Is it right? My course is computer science. No, Judy. You should say, you can say I'm getting a degree in computer science, but you can also say my major is computer science. That's the most common way to say it. I'm majoring in computer science. My major is computer science. I'm majoring in computer science. My major is computer science. You can also say, I'm getting a degree in computer science, or I got a degree in computer science. Those are all okay, but we use the word major for education. We don't use the word major for your job. So once you finish getting a degree, then you would say field. Say I work in the computer science field, right? Not major. Major is only for education, only for university. So it's sort of like major usually becomes field after you finish your education. That's a good question, though. That is a good question. How so bad means very too much. Can't understand that. Oh, I see. When is the next live video? Next Saturday, every Saturday. Pronunciation is really clear to listen to for foreigners. So I was wondering if you're trying to speak correctly or is it a natural sound? That's a good question. I'd like to watch videos where you have usual conversations with friends, something natural, and you explain the phrases, words, and idioms. That would be an interesting thing, but that would be a little hard to do because you can't always organize people and get them together, right? But I agree, that would be very useful. I'll think about that. 29 years old, actually. Actually, I'm 29 years old. Which one is correct? They are both correct, Doran. They're both correct. I'm 29 years old, actually, or actually, I'm 29 years old. Eyes are fighting going to bed. Okay, yeah, we talked about that. Is there a subtitle for each of your videos? You can turn on CC for my videos. Then you can see the transcript that's generated by YouTube. So if you tap on, you wouldn't see it for this because it's live now. But after it's posted, then you just touch on CC, closed captions, and you can see the text going up. So then you can read everything that I'm saying. So yeah, why, Harper, do you think you understand me but not them? Well, Do I speak more clearly than someone like this guy? Well, I would say I probably speak a little more slowly than him, and I usually don't speak much faster than this. I usually speak like this all the time. Um, in fact, some people kind of joke around and make fun of me because I speak a little bit more clearly than maybe other native English speakers. And I think that's just because I've been a teacher for so long, I'm kind of used to it. So, yeah, to be honest with you, I probably do speak more deliberately and carefully than most other people who speak English natively. That's probably true. However, not that much more. I mean, I'm speaking so that you'll understand, hopefully. Um, and most people are not speaking so that you'll understand. So when you hear that guy on the news, he's speaking for native English speakers. So when he's speaking super fast, he's trying to get information across very quickly. He's trying to communicate information very quickly, and so it's harder to understand. And also, he's blending sounds a lot, right? So a lot of the words that he's saying are blended, but also he's using more technical words. The vocabulary that he's choosing is maybe more technical because of the topic. He's talking about global politics, and sometimes when I have conversations with people about more complicated topics, that might be harder for you to understand. One thing that would be interesting to see is if you're able to understand a conversation I had recently with a friend that I recorded on YouTube. So I would like to see that. So if you want to, I just recently put up a video. Last week I put up a video on YouTube, not on this YouTube, but on another YouTube, just because I was having an interesting conversation. We recorded it, right? So if you search Luke Priddy Podcast, Luke Priddy Podcast, you should see just one thing. So it's like 2 hours long. This conversation is 2 hours long. It's a very long conversation. But it's about a relatively complex topic. It's about myths, and it's a very interesting conversation. But I was having the conversation with him, for us, and nobody else. I wasn't really thinking about the audience. I wasn't thinking about anything else. We were just having a conversation. So that is me having a conversation as I would have any conversation with another native English speaker. Okay, so check that out. Just search Luke Priddy Podcast in YouTube and watch that. I just posted it. I don't know why, just so I could have it saved. Okay, Mihi, so could you understand? My question is, why did you watch it? I hope you didn't watch the whole thing. It's 2 hours long. So Mihi, did you understand that? Or was that more difficult? Eyes are fat, ocean, unique harmony, DDD. I think I missed one question. Oh, yes. Peace asks, why, how, so bad means very much. This is a good question. If you say, for example, I want that so bad. If I bought something and I didn't buy it yet, but I really want it. I want that so bad. I want that so bad. It's the same as saying I want that so much. But it's almost painful you want it so much, right? And so because of that, we use the word bad, right? If somebody says, I have to pee so bad, I have to pee so bad, I have to pee so bad, it means you really, really need to pee, right? Or I need a drink so bad, I need a drink so bad. That means you really want to have a drink. Okay, so that's fine. And yeah, I understand that's weird. Why would bad mean very much? But we use it as a way to focus on an extreme level of want for something, an extreme level of desire for something, or an extreme level of whatever it is that we are talking about, right? So bad here is sort of like I have a negative or bad feeling without that thing. For example, I want this so bad. It's almost like I'm in pain. It's bad for me now because I don't have it. So you can think of it that way. So we use bad that way. Sometimes, instead of much. Yes, I want that so bad. Mihi, you can't finish the end of it unless you like. I agree. For most people, I think that that video would be extremely boring. Extremely boring. For me, it was very interesting because I like the topic. But my question is, Mihi, did you understand what was being said, what was being talked about? Were you able to understand the topic, or was it a little difficult? That is my question. Did I miss anyone's question for today? Are there any questions that you guys asked that I didn't get to answer, that I didn't talk about? I want to make sure I don't miss anything. You never had that kind of conversation with friends? That's the only kind of conversation I have with friends. With my friends, I usually don't talk about what did you do, or what did she do, or what did he do. I don't usually have that kind of conversation. My conversations are usually about death and religion and philosophy, and I'm not, just because that's what I like to talk about. I really like having deep philosophical conversations, if possible, and that was a philosophical conversation, just because that's what I enjoy, and he enjoys the same thing, and so we had that conversation, and I might be doing that next. What is the next course about? Yeah, so let me talk about that. The next course is going to be an overall course. That means it's going to include many topics. So the first 3 courses are Udemy courses. I'll just show you, if you're interested in taking courses finished by myself, then you can go to Udemy. It's in the description for this video, but basically you can go to Udemy and just search my name, Luke Priddy, and you'll see 3 courses. It looks like that. Okay, and you can sign up for the 3 courses. Right now they're $14.99. That's how much they cost. But they're each 3 hours long, basically. And they're videos, lesson by lesson. The whole thing is 3 hours long for one course. So I would recommend that if you're working on either fluency, speaking sentences clearly, or pronunciation. One is about the pronunciation of different sounds, and the other is about how to think in English, different exercises you can do. The course I'm working on next is going to be anywhere between 26 and 30 hours long. I'm not sure because I haven't edited it yet, but that's why I bought this giant 4 terabyte hard drive. When it's finished being edited, I will post it and put it up, and it'll be very long, and it covers many topics and many different things that you will come across. There are lots of new phrases. There are lots of things that it covers. I'll just read through the topic list really quickly. Here's the topic list for the course. 1, course introduction. 2, how to describe things in detail. 3, tough tenses. 4, inviting friends. 5, comparing things. 6, making inquiries. 7, daily routines. 8, starting conversations. 9, having discussions. 10, progress. 11, ordering food. 12, describing movies and TV shows. 13, explaining advice. 14, explaining the future. 15, practice exercises. 16, practice exercises 2. 17, how to use words related to time. 18, how to write emails correctly. 19, daily tasks. 20, using quantifiers. 21, giving a presentation. 22, handling difficult situations and disagreements. 23, technical descriptions. That one's a very boring one. 24, expressions in common situations. 25, booking a hotel room. 26, having meetings and meeting roles. 27, phone call English. 28, cuisine and cooking. 29, picking someone up at the airport. 30, how to have a debate. Oh, and there's another one describing data. So there's a huge range of topics. It's going to cover all kinds of things. Yes, and when you buy a course, you can keep it forever. The cool thing is, I buy courses on Udemy too. Yesterday, I bought a course for my wife on UXD, do experience design, because she's a graphic designer. When the cool thing about Udemy is when you buy a course, then you have the course. It's your course. You can have it for the rest of your life. And you can download the courses, the lessons in your app, and you can watch them on the bus. It's awesome. It's very cool. So I really like Udemy. I bought recently an AR kit course on Udemy. So it's really good. I like Udemy a lot. That's why I make courses for Udemy, because I like Udemy. I also have courses on Skillshare. Skillshare, I don't know. Skillshare's, their model is a little different. It's okay, I guess. The same courses are on Skillshare, so if you're a Skillshare member, you can also take those courses. But I recommend Udemy because you own it forever. It's simple. How can I improve speaking skills when I have no foreign friends to talk English with? That is a good question. It's a big question. I would recommend. I have some other videos in the video library about that. One is how to improve your spoken English, and so you can definitely watch that video. And I'm also going to be posting a video later today about the same topic, a little bit different, but it's a big question. It's a big question. Hello Talk is good if you want to get a language partner. You can share language, you can chat. Hello Talk is pretty good for that. I enjoy listening to people say a bunch of philosophy about life. Well, Harper, you can check it out. I think you will disagree at the end of that if you watch it. It's very boring. Have I written a book? Yes, I have written a book. I wrote a 600-page book between the ages of 22 and 24, and I just finished it, but then I didn't do anything with it. It's not published. Thou art alive, thou livest. Wow. Judy, that's... Thou livest sounds like Shakespeare English. That's what's called Middle English. And it's, thou art alive means you are alive. Thou livest means it's a formal you, live, basically. It's just a different way of writing it. Thou is a formal form. And thee is a formal form. We don't use it anymore in modern English. We don't use it. It's Middle English. A little bit later. No, it's early modern English. It moves from early modern English into Middle English into early modern English. That form was used, I believe, but we don't use it anymore. But when you read Shakespeare, you'll hear these and thous and things like that. If I can speak English fluently, then I'm eligible to teach English to non-American people. It depends on the requirements of the people who would who would hire you, I think. Maybe. Maybe. What kind of music do I like, and why do you listen to it? I usually like electronic music. I don't listen to a lot of music, though. I usually listen to books. I listen to a lot of podcasts. But I don't like much music with singing for some reason. And I listen to it once in a while, and I don't know why. It's a good question. I don't listen to a lot of music. Podcasts and books, mostly. I use Audible. I use Audible a lot. Where's my... Oh, my phone is there. Audible is awesome. You can download, just like Udemy, download books, and once you have them, they're yours. You own them. You can listen to them as many times as you want. You can slow it down so you can listen to it more slowly, or speed it up. I love Audible. It's awesome. It's awesome. I usually read. Hopefully, I try to read a book a week. But recently, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. One really good podcast, if you're interested in history, is called Hardcore History. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. It's awesome if you're interested in history. It tells basically stories about history. Very good. All right, guys, we're going to have to stop for today. Mushroom's coming back soon. I've got to do a couple things, but thanks for all your questions. and I hope I've answered them well enough. And make sure you bring more questions for next week. Do I like TED Talks? Yes, I love TED Talks. I watch many TED Talks. TED Talks are awesome. TED Talks are great. The cool thing about TED Talks is that you can also, if you're an English learner, get the transcript, the English transcript, and it will play along as it goes, right? You can actually watch the words play as they're speaking. TED Talks are awesome, yeah. Harper and me both like TED Talks. So, TED Talks, Audible, podcasts, all good. TED Talks might be better than podcasts for you guys because of the transcript. If you go to the website, you can actually watch the words playing, which is pretty cool. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Check out the Udemy courses if you're interested in that kind of thing, if you want to improve your English. And look out for the Udemy course. Well, it's going to be about a month probably before I put that one up. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and feel free to share the videos. Honestly, if you're interested in helping me out, the best thing you can do is share my videos on if you're on WeChat, on your WeChat moments, if your friends use YouTube, or if you're on Facebook, then share on Facebook. I would really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. And thank you everyone for watching again. I will go enjoy my Korean food, exactly. I'm excited about that. I'm very hungry. And I'll see you guys next week around, I'm gonna say 12:30, and I'll try. I'll really try. One of these days I will be here exactly at 12:30. That'll be amazing. All right, see you guys.